And today we reacting to Kick streamers charged for live passing of IRL streamers. That is, huh? That is crazy. That's a crazy title. I ain't gonna cap. I don't know how to feel about this one. The passing on live is even equally insane, and it's 10 times sad. Couldn't imagine his loved one seeing that, but let's see what happened.
This French IRL streamer passed away live on stream after a 10-day marathon where his friends...
10-day marathon? Like, bro, the marathons be crazy, bro. They really be like, I don't know. I couldn't do a whole 10-day marathon, especially like if I know I'm not built for it.
Subjected him to abuse so brutal that they're now being held on criminal charges, including assault and...
Hold on, assault. 2 streamers have been charged in relation to Owen, Naruto, and Safin Hamadi are often in prison. Assault. What the hell? Assault to hatred, abuse of a vulnerable person, and recording. Dang.
Incitement of hatred, abuse of a vulnerable person, and...
Hey, I read that word so wrong. Incitement. I read that so wrong. I'm not gonna lie to you.
And recording and broadcasting violent images.
After months of physical violence and humiliation on the Le Local group's...
Bro, what the... Bro, what the fuck? What the hell? What? Bro, foreigners be... They play too... The way they play is not normal, bro. Like, it's not normal at all.
Kick channel. 298 hours into a live stream, one of the group's other members reached for a bottle to throw at Jean Pormanov to wake him up. But the 46-year-old streamer had died in his sleep. His autopsy, scheduled for Thursday, will look to establish whether his co-streamers bear responsibility.
Damn, bro. That's fucked up, bro. That is lame. These niggas lame as hell.
Authorities have come under fire for failure to prevent the months of violence in plain sight.
I mean, watching these clips, especially seeing a bunch of these uncensored ones that went viral on Twitter shortly after this originally happened, is beyond depressing. And it shows how messed up the attention economy is. Because people will apparently torment someone until their last breath for social media attention. And to make things even...
And see, that's why I cannot be like what Kai be doing in his streams and everybody else. Like, I don't want to have to tire myself out and have to worry about doing all these exotic crazy things just to keep somebody's attention. No, I want to sit here, be my authentic self, and draw y'all in, just being me. Plugging that, you know what I'm saying? I'll be on Twitch and I'll be on TikTok live going crazy, you know what I'm saying? In the description below, But I like to be my authentic self, because some folks, they kill themselves trying to go above and beyond streaming, like, and it causes so much mental and physical strain on their bodies, and it's like stuff like this can happen.
Worse for the streaming site, French authorities have now requested arrest warrants for Kick's Australia-based executives, meaning this is going to get a whole lot bigger and likely messier than Kick ever wanted to or even expected. Many of you guys have probably heard of this story by now because it happened like 6 months ago, but there's been some recent updates that are honestly crazy. But the story that we're talking about today is another case of just psychotic clout-hungry streamers seeing how far they can push the boundaries, or honestly, lack of boundaries that are on Kick. And while Kick is known for degeneracy, this time it extended way past the usual controversies, when on August 18th, 2025, a 46-year-old French content creator known as Jean Pormanov, or JP, he passed away in his sleep on stream. And all of this happened after he was essentially tormented by his friends live for the entire world to see for 10 straight days.
Bro, why was this even a thing? Like, why was this even a thing? Just oddly, we finna just torture you for like 10 days straight. Like, why was that? Clout is such a crazy thing, and the fact that, to be honest, it's so normalized. Stuff like that for streaming, how crazy streaming has gotten, stuff like that would be so normalized and nobody would bat an eye. It's more of hee ha ha, da, 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 you know what I'm saying? Some folks will feel awkward not tuning in, but the folks is watching they're actually entertained by this BS, bro. Like, this is actually sad.
While the autopsy suggests that his death was due to exhaustion, once you see some of the things that JP endured, it's hard to believe it wasn't a contributing factor. And I'm sure a lot of you guys couldn't avoid seeing some of the things he was subjected to being plastered all over the internet. Even if it started as a joke to get attention online, it's easy to see how tiring and even fatal this could have become. I mean, just...
Look at his lame ass. Just look at his lame ass in the back giggling.
4 days before his passing, JP expressed in text to his mother just how exhausted he was and how he felt trapped in what he described as a death game. And out of the gate, it seemed like the French government was hoping to make an example out of the controversial streaming site, since they reportedly launched an investigation into whether Kick was knowingly broadcasting, in their own words, videos of deliberate attacks on personal integrity. But, for about half a year, we didn't even hear anything until on January 27th, 2026, French prosecutors requested arrest warrants for Kick's Australia-based executives, meaning it's getting serious now. But let's back things up just a little bit and give some context, because what if I told you...
I know the Kick employees is like, boy, I know they were shook, scared, stomachs sank into the ass, for sure.
This isn't even the first time these streamers have been under criminal investigation for the exact same content, and this potentially could have been prevented, because JP, who is a popular French streamer known for his volatile reactions and his extreme challenges, he was recruited to be a part of this streaming house called Le Local by Owen Sensazodati, who goes by Naruto, and Safin Hamadi, who posed as his friends, I guess, but now are being criminally charged after, contributing to this marathon stream in which John's life ultimately ended. Since at least 2023, John has been essentially tormented by these friends.
What is that in his head? In that bottom box. What is that in his head? Like, in the bottom left box. What the fuck? Nah, he gotta let them hoes go. I ain't gonna care.
On Kick for public entertainment, with the punishments ranging from things like, firing paintball guns at him to choking him for increasingly longer intervals each time. And many of these clips...
Whoa. I need the soundboard working. But, whoa. Are they insane? Choking? Like, are we serious? Choking? Like, that ass? And for longer each time, for each punishment, can't be serious. Yeah, the soundboard ain't gonna work. But this, who idea was this, and why would he even go along with this BS, bro? Like, come on, nah.
John is heard shouting for them to stop and trying to get away, but he continues to show up to these streams day after day as they generate, subscribers, donations, and a very large fan base. Yeah, and this content is just incredibly hard to watch, and it's even harder to imagine that they grew such a large audience off of something that feels like a Black Mirror episode.
And a bunch of weirdos. It's always a bunch of weird niggas. It never fails. It's always the weird niggas doing the weird shit and watching the weird shit, encouraging the weird shit, and gonna keep on growing the weird shit, bro.
But it seems like the Kick French Twitter account was happily promoting their streams often, and even allegedly using photos of Jean on a Kick t-shirt, clearly being humiliated on stream to sell merch. So, it's hard to say they weren't aware of what was going on, since it looks like they might have been using this for marketing, but it seems like everyone, including Jean, was happy to continue to laugh at everything going on, instead of, rightfully questioning if all this was just a little bit too crazy. Because remember when I said that this wasn't the first time this group had been in hot water for the legality of this content? Well, back in December 2024, there was actually an investigation launched into Owen and Safin for the possible torture that they were live streaming to a massive audience. And they were even held by the police for 1 day in January 2025. But even when given the opportunity, JP refused to accuse them of any wrongdoing or press charges, so it was all dropped. So it kind of seems like they all agreed on that this was just an act to generate money through social media, until it wasn't, I guess. There's also this really creepy clip where Owen and Safin pressured JP into essentially saying that if he passes away on stream, that it's not their fault. So yeah, it kind of...
Nah. Stream would have got ended right there. What? None of this is making sense of why would someone agree to this, bro. My brain can't comprehend this.
Seems like the guys knew what they were doing could potentially end in a fatal way. And on August 18th, it unfortunately did. After streaming for over 290 hours straight during one of their marathon streams, a group of the local boys, including Owen and JP, started waking up one by one on camera. When John didn't wake up, Owen tossed a water bottle at his head. And when that had no effect, he moved on to slapping John, of course. And it instantly became clear that something was wrong, and they immediately ended the stream. And obviously, news of JP's passing spread like wildfire across social media, prompting people to dig into the past streams, where they realized the mental and physical abuse extended like way further back than just this one marathon. So then the question was, remember, he was like, oh, this is all...
It just dawned upon me, he said August. God. And they just now talking about this now? Man, RIP to Buddy, man.
Staged for social media content. Was that true? Was it all staged? Or was it kind of like Stockholm Syndrome? Like, what was keeping John coming back? Well, it is alleged that when he gave any pushback to the group, he would be threatened with things like, you know, being kicked out of his apartment or having his car taken away, because even though John was being subjected to this abuse and, you know, he was kind of the star of the show, it still wasn't his streaming house or his team. So think about it. When your home and your main source of income is tied to this content, it's probably hard to imagine walking away from that despite how bad it seemed to get. So what was Owen's defense? Well, he claims that it was all scripted and that all the events were just staged. Unfortunately though, John isn't here to share his side. So it's hard to know, but if you spend any time watching through these clips, it's hard not to get infuriated. And Owen even went as far to claim that he was being cyberbullied during all this, but what does he then classify his treatment of John as? Like, this just doesn't make sense. But tons of people, they've been calling out not only Owen and Safine, but Kick in general. Because how did they let this get so far? Like, based on how many people that were calling this out even before JP's passing, you kind of have to assume that this was also flagged in their Kick channels. Like, were they just turning a blind eye? Honestly, we might find out, because French authorities quickly opened an investigation into the Australian video platform. The Paris prosecutor said the investigation will look into whether Kick knowingly broadcasted videos of deliberate attacks on personal integrity. They're also trying to determine whether Kick complied with their obligation to notify the authorities if the life or safety of individuals is in question, which clearly it was. And it was also announced by France's Minister of Digital Affairs, Clara Chapaz, that the government would sue the platform for negligence over its failure to block dangerous content. And on top of all that, Kick could actually be faced with a penalty of up to 49.
As bad as I did want to go to Kick, despite hearing everything that was going on with it, I couldn't go to Kick now, at least. Like, and the fact that they even promoting it, not even promote, I just didn't even do anything about it and just kept it going. And they did promote it with putting his face and everything of him in pain or whatever he was doing in the live stream on a shirt to promote and sell merch. Like, nah, that wasn't cool.
$1 million under Australian online safety laws. So let's just hope, at the bare minimum, they prevent something like this from ever happening again. Because unfortunately, I feel like this kind of stuff was inevitable. When you build a platform essentially inviting a bunch of degenerates on and pretty much branding themselves as like free speech, no censorship platform. So naturally, a bunch of degenerates join and immediately start streaming themselves being awful human beings. And no, I'm not saying just because you streamed on Kick that you're an awful person. I'm just saying that awful people often gravitate to places where they can get away with being awful. So something crazy like this happening was kind of inevitable. But this is probably why there's been no platforms really like Kick, and every other, you know, social media platform or like content platform that doesn't censor that much inevitably gets shut down. Because it is absolutely not cheap getting sued a whole bunch. And as I briefly mentioned earlier, just days ago, French authorities have requested arrest warrants for the Kick Australia-based executives because, yeah, as I mentioned, they failed to respond to previous subpoenas for questioning regarding this case. So I guess the goal is to question these executives about their observations of the many situations and measures that Kick may have taken to comply with regulations in the months following to Jean's passing. But it gets worse, because prosecutors also believe that Kick directors could have financially contributed to Sensidotti and Hamadi's Kick channel, saying that they're looking into the company's financial records now. Because apparently suspicious financial transactions have been identified, leading to a suspicion that the channel was directly funded by Kick and its directors. So that's what they told the French news outlets. And honestly, I mean, that could mean a few things. So obviously they were financially benefiting from Kick because they were, to my knowledge, Kick partners and they were streaming on Kick. But are they trying to say that like Kick directors were directly donating to the stream to incentivize the stuff that was going on here? Is that what they're saying? Because if so, that would be crazy.
That's what I was thinking. Not gonna lie, that's truly what I was thinking.
Crazy. And that would also make Kick's involvement and subsequent downplaying of their knowledge even more disgusting. That being said, though, there will definitely be a whole bunch of updates on the investigations and charges with Owen, Safine, and Kick. And I'll definitely keep you guys updated on the story because,
man, that's actually sad as shit. Like, that's sad as fuck that, bro. And they let this shit happen. Like, they just let the whole thing play out. Nobody gave a fuck. Nobody did nothing. Like, And these niggas even said, hey, if this happens, it's not our fault. Like, niggas is cornballs, lames, bunch of weirdos, like goofies, niggas clowns. Like, also I did peep, you know what I'm saying? I said weirdo, because I did in the video previous when I uploaded, you'll see what I mean. I did call the dude out for saying weirdo, not gonna cap. But, you know, I do condolences to him and his family and to all his loved ones. I really RIP to bro, all that. But with that being said, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We upload reactions daily. You know what I'm saying? Link to the TikTok, Discord, and Twitch in the description below. Don't forget to tell a friend, tell an auntie, tell an uncle, tell a cousin to go tell their exes, friends, co-workers and all, that I be live streaming and I be making videos. It wouldn't be me if I didn't ramble on and try to cover all my bases. With that being said, we only spread love, no hate. And I think we done.